All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's up, everybody? Big Marley 3 from SHIPIT Nation here to break down the Week 17 NFL Tiers Slate for you guys. Before we get into that, I want to mention that our friends over at Drafters are back in action with Playoff Best Ball. They have a $3 contest and a $20 contest available to draft in right now. That big $20 contest is a $250,000 prize pool with $50,000 going to first place. If you sign up with promo code SHIPIT, they will match your first deposit up to $100. And we will also be having a couple live drafts in the next couple weeks as well. So I hope to see some of you in there. All right, let's get into this tier slate. I always like to hit on our quarterback tiers, and then I'll let you know ways we could stack these guys up. If they don't have stack options, then I usually just don't use them. And then if you want more information on other tiers, just head over to shipitnation.com. And my full player pool with notes on every player is posted over there. You get all sports for $69 a month. So it's the best. It's the best in the industry. It's also the best Discord in the industry. So go sign up if you haven't yet and start crushing it with us. For tier 1, Jalen Hurts is our top projected play. And he has 15 rushing touchdowns on the year, so he isn't a guy that has to be stacked, but he does have his 3 best players available in tiers this week. So I plan on stacking with at least one or more. He has A.J. Brown in tier 2. He has Devontae Smith, and where's he at? He's in tier 4 this week. And then he also has DeAndre Swift in tier 7. I am fine stacking Hurts with Swift. But if I'm not using Hurts in tier 1, then I really want to bump up Swift in this matchup and just hope that he rushes for 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. It is the nut matchup for running backs, and they're starting to run the ball more. Swift looked good last week. I think he's in a good spot here. I'm fine with them both together, but I do want one or the other in most lineups, I think. And then Josh Allen is our second highest projected in tier 1, and his main stack partner is Stephon Diggs in tier 2. Tier 2 is super tough this week, though. So I expect Diggs to be the lowest owned in this tier. And that's kind of just another reason to use him and Allen. They need to get the win. They're going for the playoffs. So I think they're going to have a big game here. It's just so tough to skip over these other guys and pick Diggs instead, since he hasn't been doing great lately. And then he also has James Cook in tier 6. I mean, I don't love quarterback to running back stacks as my only stack. But James Cook does have 6 touchdowns on the season, and 4 of them are receiving touchdowns. So I do think that stack is in play. And I'd probably just want to stack all 3 of them up, go Allen to Diggs, and then Cook, and hope that they blow out the Patriots. Lamar Jackson is our third highest projected, but he has 0 other Ravens in tiers this week, so I plan on just Xing him out of my player pool, and I'll take my shots on these other 3 guys instead. Patrick Mahomes is the last on the list, and he has late stacking options this week, which I always like. Travis Kelce is in tier 6, and this is the lowest tier he has ever been in. So we are getting a discount there with Kelce, even though there are no salaries. And then he also has his best wide receiver in tier 7 with Rashee Rice. And then if he ends up playing, they also got Isaiah Pacheco in this tier as well. If I'm using Pacheco, I prefer him for my non-Mahomes lineups. And then if I am using Mahomes, I would just use Rice as my stack option in tier 7 instead. And then going over to tier 5, I always try to cut out 1 or 2 of these guys from my player pool. This week, Kyler Murray has 0 stack options on tiers, so he's going to be the first guy that gets cut for me. I do have some interest on him in the main slate, though, at low ownership, but I plan on just using him there, and then I'll stick to stacking in tiers. I am also going to try and cut out another one of these guys as well, but I'm not sure who that will be yet. You can find my whole player pool over at shipitnation.com, though, and the fade will be not posted in there. All right, the clear top projected play in this tier is Brock Purdy. If I'm using Brock Purdy, then I'm stacking him with really 2 of his guys, if not all 3. He has CMC in tier 2 in a great matchup. He also has Debo in tier 3 and Brandon Ayuk in tier 6. I do think Brock is going to be the chalk in tier 5, but this is a great matchup for him and all 3 of his guys. So I'll be just mixing in different combos into my lineups, and I do plan on eating that chalk. And then Justin Fields is our second highest projected in this tier, and he has an auto stack for me with DJ Moore in tier 8. The Bears are without Darnell Mooney this week, and Cole Kmet still has a Q tag, so he could be out as well. That should lead to an even higher target share for DJ Moore, so I like that stack a good bit. Then Tua is next on the list, and he has an auto stack as well with Tyreek Hill in tier 2. Hill needs to average over 161 receiving yards these last 2 games to break the single season record, and they are without Waddle this week, so I expect him to get fed. Hill and CMC are definitely the top 2 options in this tier 2, and I'll get a ton of those guys. But if I'm using Tua, it's because I have Hill locked into tier 2. And if I'm using Tua, I'm also okay throwing in Mostert in tier 7 if he plays. And then if he doesn't play, then I really like Achane in tier 8. Next on the list is Matthew Stafford, and he has both of his receivers in the same tier. We have Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua in tier 3. And if I am using Stafford, then I'm locking in one of these 2 guys. We can also throw in Kieran Williams in tier 2 into our Stafford stacks as well. Again, though, this is just such a hard tier that I might not get to any Williams this week unless he is stacked along with Stafford in one of these 2 receivers. And then the last guy on the list is Baker Mayfield. He is averaging 24 DraftKings points the last 3 weeks, and he has all 3 of his skill players available in tiers this week. He has Mike Evans in tier 3 alongside Rachaad White. I prefer Mike Evans if I'm using Baker, and then if I'm not using Baker, then I prefer White. And then Chris Godwin is in tier 8, and he has 34 targets the last 3 games. So he is very stackable as well. I think tier 5 is very interesting. Purdy should soak up most of the chalk, but I don't mind taking shots on these other guys and getting different that way. And you could still throw in a CMC or Debo, Ayuk, get a little bit of 49ers exposure that way. But once I get all of my stacks figured out, then most of my lineup is already built for me, and I can just plug in my favorite plays around that. Again, my full player pool will be posted over at SHIPITNation.com. You get all sports for one low price, so you guys can play more and pay less. I will be back with an afternoon and primetime slate breakdown. But if you guys can hit that like and subscribe button for us, it really helps out. Good luck in tiers this week. I hope everybody enjoys the new year. Thanks for listening. Go ship something.